Wikimedians talk to, learn from, and explore topics related to the Wikimedia movement in Africa. Wiki in Africa brings each session to you, created by and for African Wikimedians to expand Africa's open movement. We start with news about conferences and campaigns. We are excited to announce Wiki Conference Nigeria 2024, the national event for Nigerian Wikimedia contributors. This inaugural conference, taking place from September 12th until the 15th, 2024 in Abuja, Nigeria, offers a platform to learn, connect, and share experiences within the Wikimedia community. The deadline for proposal submission is July 5th. Don't miss the groundbreaking event. Visit the Wiki Conference Nigeria 2024 meta page for more information.
Share your knowledge and experiences with the Wikimedia community by submitting a session proposal for the 10th edition of Wiki Indaba. Learn more and submit your proposal to the Wiki Indaba Conference 2024 submissions meta page. The deadline is Sunday, June 30 at your local time. Proposals can be submitted in either French or English. Please note that only proposals submitted via the meta page will be considered. Proposals submitted via email or directly to the conference co-chairs will not be accepted.
The WikiForHumanRights campaign aims to provide access to neutral, fact-based information on human rights and sustainability, including the right to a healthy environment. In honor of the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Wikimedia communities are invited to contribute knowledge that helps create a sustainable future. Advocacy starts with understanding your rights and the solution to human rights challenges. The campaign will include regional writing contests and community events, focusing on local sustainability issues. Join in contributing to WikiForHumanRights 2024 and help build a better future.
WISCOM is looking for a motivated individual to join as a WISCOM coordinator, responsible for steering the Wiki Indaba Steering Committee. This remote role offers a one-year contract with potential for renewal. If you have experience in project coordination and administrative support and share the passion for Wikimedia's mission, apply by June 30, 2024. Visit the We Are Hiring WISCOM Coordinator page on MetaWiki. Don't miss this opportunity to contribute to the Wikimedia community.
Lastly, we have some news from the Wikimedia Foundation. The reviewers have completed their assessment and the Elections Committee has certified the results for the Universal Code of Conduct Coordinating Committee election. Congratulations to the following members. For the regional members, which is a 2-year term, representing the Northern and Western Europe, we have Gilt. Representing the Middle East and North Africa, we have Ibrahim.id. Representing East, Southeast Asia and Pacific, we have 0x Dead Beef. And the members representing the community at large for a 1-year term, we have Barkeep 49, Superpus 15, Civi, and Luke 081515. You can follow the U4C work on MetaWiki. Thank you to all the participants and candidates for your dedication to the Wikimedia committee. Follow the U4C's progress on MetaWiki in the coming weeks.
The voting for the Movement Charter ratification will kick off on secure poll starting from June 25, 2024 at midnight and will run until July 9, 2024 at midnight. Learn more about the voting process, eligibility criteria, and additional details on the Movement Charter Ratification Voting Meta page. Stay informed and make your voice count in shaping the future of the Wikimedia movement.
The Wikimedia Foundation has released its annual plan for the fiscal year starting July 2023. This year's plan focuses on enhancing product and technology work, emphasizing Wikimedia's role as a platform for large-scale contributions. A special emphasis is placed on supporting established editors who play a crucial role in expanding and improving content quality and managing community processes. Hundreds of Wikimedians contributed to shaping this plan both on and off Wiki. Visit the Wikimedia Foundation Annual Plan 2023 until 2024 page on MetaWiki for updates on the progress made during the first half of fiscal year 2023 until 2024.
Make sure to visit the WikiAfrica Hour news page on MetaWiki for all relevant links. Enjoy the episode. Hello everyone, and welcome to WikiAfrica Hour, the voice of African Wikimedians supported by Wiki in Africa. This is Donia ElDomiaty, WikiAfrica Hour production coordinator, and this is the June episode of WikiAfrica Hour, titled that the Wikimedia movement contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. Today, we have four guests to share their experience related to this topic. We are honored to have Ruby Damenshie-Brown hosting them. Ruby is a Wikipedian and advocate for gender equity and climate action, and she's the co-founder of Africa Wiki Women. Currently, she serves as the Anglophone Africa Regional Coordinator for Wiki for Human Rights 2024 campaign. Thank you so much, Ruby, for accepting the invitation to be with us today, and we are very excited to attend this episode with you. So, Mike is yours now. I'll be behind the scene to listen to this episode. Go on.
Okay, thank you so much, Donia and the team at Wiki in Africa Hour. It's really a great pleasure to be here and to be hosting this episode of Wiki in Africa Hour. I'm so excited. We're talking about a very interesting topic. I know some of you or most of you might have heard about the UN SDG. Since 2012, the UN established 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and since then, organizations have been working tirelessly to address these goals one way or the other through various global activities all over the world. But again, when we come to the Wikimedia space, what does that mean to us? We have remarkable guests here who are going to share light on the topic. And I'd like to give each one of them a minute or less to introduce themselves in relation to the topic. So I'll start with John. If you can introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jan Ainali. I'm a user Ainali on the wikis, and I'm one of the co-founders of Wikimedians for Sustainable Development. And even before that, I was engaged since 2014, working on sustainability topics on the wikis.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so I'll go to Sandra. Thank you so much, John. Sandra, if you can say a word or two.
Hello, I'm Sandra Romeo. I am mainly the project coordinator of Wikimedians of the event, but regarding sustainability, I am the Arabic community coordinator for Wiki4HumanRights for the second year. This is the second year for me as the presenter for Wiki4HumanRights for the Arabic community.
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much, Sandra. Emmanuelle, if you can also do it, please. Then Romeo will follow too.
Hello, I'm Emmanuelle Webo from Côte d'Ivoire, from Wikimedia Côte d'Ivoire. I'm the general coordinator of Wikimedia Côte d'Ivoire, and I also was the representative of our community at the campaign Africa Environment Focus Wiki. And I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. And lastly, we have Romeo.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Romeo, and from the Wikimedia Community User Group in South Sudan, and I also open knowledge. Very excited to be here. But at my capacity in today's topic, actually, I stand as the WikiForHumanRights coordinator, but specifically, I can say in the area of producing the podcasts and our medias and all that amazing stuff. Thank you so much, and I'm excited to be here.
Wow. Thank you so much. This is actually going to be a very exciting topic. So please stay tuned. Leave your questions. If you have questions for our guests, please try to drop it in the chat and we'll attend to it. So there are three important points that we'll be touching on in regarding to the topic. We're going to talk about the SDG and the role that Wikimedia plays. And then we're also going to talk about the community-driven projects that are related to the sustainability or sustainable development goal, as we all call it. And again, what else does Wikimedia community or can Wikimedia community do to support the SDGs? So these are the main uh, pointers that we are going to be touching on. And first of all, let's remind ourselves what exactly is the SDG and why? Why was the SDG launched? I don't know if any of our guests can take this as an open question. What is it about? Remind us, what is the SDG about and why was it instituted? Okay, John, you want to go? I see that you
Sure,
scratched.
sure.
Good.
Well, yes. Well, it is a set of 17 different goals issued or developed by the United Nations, and they build upon the older Millennium Development Goals. So this is not like a brand new idea. It's sort of something they tried and then refined it, and it covers like a lot of different topics. Like we have 17 of them, but they're sort of roughly divided into environmental aspects, social aspects, and economic aspects. So that is what they're trying to do. They're interlinked, and basically the ambition is to solve them all by 2030 if we can. Some of them will also continue further, but that is sort of like a deadline that are in. And each of these goals have like sub targets, and each of these targets have indicators. So this is like a network of these goals and targets and indicators in interplay.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. Wow. That is a very important question. But again, I have another question. And talking about the SDG, you've given us a little idea of what exactly these SDGs are. Um, how does the Wikimedia, um, how does the SDG align with the goals and vision of the Wikimedia movement? How does that align? I don't know if anyone can prove for this. How does it align with the SDG, our vision as a Wikimedia movement? How do we align with the SDGs? Anyone want to go? Sandra? Romeo? Okay,
I
Sandra.
was
Yeah,
thinking. I was thinking of Jan as his presenter of Wikimedia for Sustainable Development. But from my point of view, that it is a partnership of the goals, which is SDG 17. It is the main reason for having the UN with us, Wikimedia. And also we have other important goals. We are working on it on Wikimedia Foundation. Just this is a little bit brief answer from my side.
Okay, Romeo, I'll let you go. I think Romeo had something interesting to add to it.
yeah, sure. So I think me mainly like the goals I would say that we are so much aligned with. First of all, the fact that the entire Wikimedia movement is dedicated to a very free and open knowledge, like away system. I feel like it aligns to quite a couple of SDGs. So like the first one is SDG number 4. So the one about quality education. So what we have tried to see actually is that Wikimedia projects like Wikipedia provide a very free access to knowledge, contributing to education and lifelong learning opportunities. But we have also seen very dedicated programs within the Wikimedia Foundation that are really geared into improving education as well. So for me, that feels like one of the goals that we are actually within the Wikimedia space are trying to help. And but also we have goal 16. So I think I have a very personal story with the SDG 16 that talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions. So
We're gonna
like for instance,
we're gonna come to the personal aspect of it. Okay.
oh yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, I'm very much interested in the personal aspect. How does the SDG aligns with your personal interest? Because I know you all have some one way or the other interested in the SDG, but um, why are you interested in it? What is your motivation behind it? Romeo, would you want to complete that?
I would. So like for instance, what I was talking about, the SDG that I just mentioned, the SDG 16 that talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions. So I remember one thing is, first of all, the resonate to my personal values. So things like equity, justice and sustainability, probably. But apart from that, I remember when we were starting our community, one of the biggest challenges we started it was in the refugee camp. Now, in the refugee camp, we had a huge problem. We were divided into tribal lines, and that's actually why we came to the refugee camp in the first place, because it was war in our country. But then the moment we started our Wikimedia program, I saw the different types of tribes coming in together to contribute to writing about our country. So the fact that we're able to sit in the same room, we're able to sit in the same room as different tribes. There was nothing that happened until the end of the session. Like, instead, people having conversations of, hey, what I don't know, this kind of, my article has an issue. How do we improve about this article about my particular place? How do we improve about this thing about South Sudan? That put me in a position to say, okay, I think there is more that we can actually achieve in Wikimedia than just contributing and adding articles. There's a very huge social aspect to it. So that fact that it came and brought people together, it brought different people. Even up to now, we still see different people, different cultures, different types of people contributing to Wikimedia. It is contributing to a very large aspect of different, I say SDG 17 is like one of the, 16 is one of the first that is really, I see it evidently working within the community. That's my
Wow.
personal opinion, of how
Wow,
that
that's a really touching story. I love that SDG could also like do all of these things like whilst addressing the Wikimedia space. Yes, can we hear from other guests? What is the motivation? Briefly, in one line, what has been your motivation, Emmanuelle? Do you want to say something?
Yeah, for me, the main motivation is that it is important to be involved in SDG because they are presenting an effort. It is a common effort to save and have a secure place for each of us for now and also for the future. So when we are working with for SDG, we are working for us and also for the future.
Interesting. I don't know if Jean or Sandra will say one word, but again, our guests, our audience, we want to hear from you. What is your motivation with the SDG? Why is it important? Please leave it in the chat and we will engage with you.
Yeah, I could add something to it because for me, I have a firm belief that most people want to do good, but it's also very hard to do good if you don't know exactly what to do. So, and we know that Wikipedia is a great platform for sharing information. That has been proven over and over. And then the UN already has this great framework of what are the most important topics in the next coming years. So we can just use those to know what should we focus on to enable other people to make the world a better place. That's why I'm so passionate about this, because it's enabling everybody else to do what they probably want to do anyway.
I love that. I love that. I don't know if anyone wants to add one more word.
Yeah.
Sandra, you wanted to say something? Okay, good. What has been your motivation?
Yeah, I would like to say that our motivations was just one goal. It was just presenting multiple goals from having, because as our countries was hosting the COP 2023, 2024 in Dubai and in Egypt. So according to climate action and other SDGs like 13, 14, 15, and 16, like multiple goals, we're working on it. from our motivation work on Wikimedia Foundation or Wikimedia for the Arabic community work.
This is really cool. This sounds really interesting. Again, we want to we want to move to the next segment or topic, which is community-driven projects that are related to sustainability. And one way or the other, looking at your backgrounds, I see that you all have contributed to some campaigns in the past regarding the sustainable development goals. And this question goes to Romeo as the Wiki for Human Rights coordinator, coordinating podcasts. Can you tell us or provide some details to us about the campaign and how it all started?
All right. So the Wiki for Human Rights campaign, it's for others who may not know, it's an initiative within the Wikimedia movement that focuses on raising awareness and creating content related to human rights and sustainability. So it started as a way to leverage power of Wikimedia projects to highlight critical issues and encourage the creation of reliable information on these topics. So this campaign aims to engage the community in documenting and sharing knowledge about human rights. We have environmental justice, sustainable development. So I think our previous ones, we have been having a title of Right to a Healthy Environment. So yeah, basically this is it, to be able to gather communities and to contribute to Wikimedia projects and provide very neutral and very amazing content, actually documenting all these that are happening, all these human rights aspects that are happening within the communities. So environmental justice, sustainability, and all that stuff. So, and that's what we're doing for this year as well. It has been around for a couple of years, and yeah, so 2024 is yet another awesome year for the Wiki for Human Rights campaign.
This is really interesting. Wiki for Human Rights campaign. I think it's still ongoing, and a lot of people might have already heard a lot about it. Thank you so much, Romeo. I want to really understand from John's perspective, like what has been the motivation for establishing the sustainable, the user group, Wikimedians for Sustainable Development. Like what
Yeah,
was the inspiration? How did you come together to come up with such a great initiative?
yeah. So I think a little bit was to try to make all of ourselves a little bit more efficient and inventing the wheel over and over so many times, because there's like on many different languages and different of our sister projects, there are great wiki projects where people are already doing fantastic things, like Wiki Project Climate Change on English Wikipedia is so good. And if another language would like to do similar things, there's not a natural place to coordinate wiki projects across languages. And that's why we wanted to create a user group, to have everyone, regardless of where they are usually active, to get together to say, oh, hey, I'm doing this sort of campaign. If someone wants to do the same, you can copy it, or if you just want to join in, or if you have improvements, suggestions for improvements, that's also great. So, and just being an inspiration hub, seeing all the good things that are going on, but also like actual knowledge sharing between all our different parts of our wiki universe, because like sometimes we use the word community with one big C, but really we're like hundreds of smaller communities that not talk to each other every day because we have different village pumps and such. So that's what we're trying to do with the user group, to get people passionate about this topic to have one place to unite around.
I love that. Like small villages coming together, just like small pockets of communities coming together and being inspired by the SDG. Oh, that's really a great work. I also am privileged to be part of that user group. So I see a lot of opportunities. People share lots of sustainable development activities on the group, and that is really great because for those of us who are interested in such kind of campaigns, we can easily see them on these user groups. So thank you so much, Jean, for the wonderful work that you're doing. Yeah, back to you, Emmanuelle. I see that you did, or you guys organized WikiFocus Environment, which is one of the biggest example of community-driven campaign that are contributing to environment. Can you kindly speak more about the program? Like, what exactly is the program about, and what is the motivation for the user group in Cote d'Ivoire organizing this in 2023? Yeah.
Thank you. For the African Environment Focus Wiki, it was a project created by Wiki in Africa and Wikimedia Cote d'Ivoire, and with African Knowledge Initiative. And the main objective of this campaign was to encourage the Wikimedian movement and other communities to contribute to produce data or information about climate and contents from Africa and in March 2023. At this campaign, 16 communities from different African countries, from the north to south, central, west, and east, have engaged and contribute in different ways on the topics covered in the interest about African climate, the impact of climate, of environment changing, and the problems and other things we can see from the climate change in Africa. And this happened through different training, contribution workshop, data collecting, photo work, just to collect information about the environment and the impact of climate change in Africa, and put them on the projects, Wikimedia projects like Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, Wikidata, and also Wikimedia Commons. And about the results, we saw that 3,000 articles were created in Wikipedia, 7,000 articles were modified. We upload 4,000 images on Commons, and also on Wikidata, 11,000 data were putting on. And for us as Wikimedia Cote d'Ivoire, it was a pleasure, and also we learned from this campaign how to work together for Africa, bringing people, organize, challenging, also sensitize people to project content from their continents and show it to people so that this information will be available and we can get information about about Africa and climate in Africa. That's what I can say about African focus. Thank you.
Wow, this is really a great work that you and your team are doing in Cote d'Ivoire. Kudos to the team for contributing 3,000 articles. That's not a small feat. Really appreciate the work that you're doing. And I'd like to engage Sandra. Sandra, I had opportunity to collaborate with you. I think that was a 2012 or something. And I'm still really excited that you're still advancing sustainability cause in the movement. Is really like great to see that. I'd wanted to know, as a someone or the coordinator for the Wiki for Human Rights in the Arabic community, what are the major activities that the Arabic community prefer to contribute related to the SDG, and what challenges have you faced in the past years, or have you tried to resolve? It'll be interesting to know. How's that?
Yeah. I was interested and I was working with the Arabic community for Wiki4Human Rights since 2022. From 2022, we found that the Arabic community are really interested in working on the contest and working especially on Wikidata and Arabic Wikipedia. We have a time to add more than 10,000 citations to Arabic Wikipedia and more than the same number for Wikidata, which is a huge number. And this number was added to the Life on Earth and Life on water, because we add names for the planets which are not translated to Arabic, and we have used reliable resources. And this was using the contest. Also, at the same time, we have a time to have a photo walk in both Sudans, and we worked to have one in Egypt. Unfortunately, we couldn't, but it was really a good opportunity to work in Africa. But on the same time, we worked with Emirates and Jordan, where we have established to have a meeting with University of Sharjah with 15 of students, and we have more than 50 articles, increased to perfect articles according to this. Also on Jordan work on desertification, what we are working on, but the most established work, or the most work which all the community would like to work is using Arabic Wikipedia and Wikidata for contest and so on for our communities. And this is what we worked on 2024. We have a contest for the Arabic community to have more than 5,000 citation added to Arabic Wikipedia from the reliable resources.
More than 5,000 citation added during the campaign. This is really great for, because Wikipedia, we always want references, and so this is really like enriching the existing Wikipedia articles. That's really a great feed. Yeah, so all of our audience listening to us, please add your comment, tell us about your community-driven project that aligns with sustainability. We'd like to engage with you. So my next question, it's going to Romeo. Could you mention one of the Wiki for Human Rights campaigns this year that has really impacted, in your opinion, like which of the activities are you seeing in our movement that has yielded great impact? Feel free to talk about any of them. Or you say, well.
All right, thank you. So, Wiki for Human Rights, this year, a lot of communities are also still starting up, more especially launching up for this year. We are very excited. But one thing I can say as one of the huge impacts actually for this year is that we, as Wiki for Human Rights, have actually been able to scale our borders. So not only like, is it around only the Arabic communities, but also, and maybe the African communities, but we are now even within the Latin America communities. And we're really super excited about the extension. And that shows like the amount of people that are really excited to be part of this. A lot of communities, I think we have now more communities that have actually been able to come in. The statistics are still growing, so the numbers are probably more than actually right now. I can give exactly, because probably by the end of this call, there should be more members who have joined in. But one thing that I can say is one of our huge impacts is the fact that what we're trying to focus on. So the area of sustainability and like climate change, there is a very huge space of very big words. Okay, so like big things out there. There are huge jargons. And these a lot of people don't tend to understand. And there's like a space where people are like, okay, there's climate change happening, but really, how do we break this down to a normal person to understand? So like our main focus a little bit has been like, how do we get this to local languages? How do we get this to using other different Wikimedia projects, things like Wiktionary, things like WikiVoyage, okay? One that are not even as mainstream as how people think, but how do we break down some of these conversations to the smaller communities? And this is why we've been having all these all these calls with communities. We have also been able to break down all these jargons, prepare. And thank you so much, Ruby, actually, for all the amazing work together with the rest of the team to prepare all these very huge words, but in simple forms. If you're talking about floods, you're talking about, let me say, you're talking about a tornado. How do you describe that in your local language? How do you understand that? How does somebody get to relate with it? What are the simple actions you can do to prevent yourself from such kind of situations? So yeah, I think for me, being able to be in that position to understand this context puts me in a very good position also as an individual, but also as a community, that there's a direction we're facing that is more than yet numbers, but more to the impact of what is going to the community. So that is what I can say as one of our biggest impacts as Wiki for Human Rights.
This is really so interesting. And it reminds me, as you're speaking, I was just laughing because it reminds me of 2023 Wiki for Human Rights campaign where we're trying to do a lot of translations on Wiktionary or something like that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's so hard to find some of the words in our local language. And
Yeah.
it's tells us that our local language hasn't developed that much like the English language. So there's a lot of words that are missing. So translating some of these climate change sustainability topics in your local language is really hard. Like
Yeah.
you just have to
Which is
either use
both interesting as well. It's
which is
also
what
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
is hard, it opens conversations. It's like,
yeah,
so what is this? And for me, the conversations is the most important thing because it creates
yeah,
curiosity. People really now want to know. We don't know this in our local language. How do we subtract? How do we substitute with a word that people can understand? Now that is what I
yeah.
want.
Yeah, so I know Jean want to say something. Yeah, so as you're speaking, I would also want to understand like what measures, talking about measuring impact, okay? How do we measure impact and um, Wikimedia for sustainability, user groups, activities? How have you been able to measure the impact of the activities that go on in the user group? And what are your suggestions on how organizations can contribute to the SDG? Because the SDG is broad, and for most of us Wikimedians, we do a lot of activities without consciously thinking that we're either addressing SDGs or not. Okay, but then how can we think around our project in a way that aligns or addresses the SDG? So can you help us to a little bit more about that?
Yeah, there's so many good and important questions. So try to start in one end, and that's about measuring impact. And of course, our traditional ways of doing that is how much content are we producing on the wikis, as a sort of like a shortcut for how to measure impact. But that might not give the full picture because you can create an article that no one reads, and then you might not have impact. So it's a little bit on how do we serve the people with the information that they do have use of? And I don't know how we can measure that impact yet. We can sort of looking at a little bit of page views, but that doesn't mean that those are the people who are making the decisions, who are reading it. Maybe you only need 10 Supreme Court judges to read your article to sway a nation. I don't know. So that is a very interesting but hard question. And then I think it's even harder for us as a user group who's sort of like working on the meta level of coordinating other projects. Whereas like it's the work is still being done on the different places, and we don't really track exactly who picks up what from whom. And perhaps we should go out a little bit harder with asking the members of the community, hey, what were the things that you did this year that you got inspired from or learned from the user group, so that we actually get some numbers? Because right now we have a really hard time to track it. But also from the general enthusiasm in the group, it seems like it provides some value, but I can't really pin numbers to it yet. And I'll stop there for the first question and see if anyone else has any better thoughts to fill in. It looks like Romeo had some ideas.
Actually, I think I'm very impressed with the last point you talked about. I think storytelling is one aspect of how we can be able to gather impact, because some of this impact is not like numbers and matrices to be able to gather them. But for me, it's like they're simple things. For instance, the amount of partnerships now I'm seeing that Wikimedia user groups are having with communities in their countries to enable certain maybe conversations as we did as Wikimedians now go out into policy making, into regulations, into stuff. Now, that one you can't measure it with the number of articles. It's more like on the impact of that community. So, but how do we get to know this? Is by storytelling. It's people coming out to speak, communities from those areas talking about it, maybe writing more. I would encourage people to write more articles on DIF. I would encourage more people to talk about it on their social media platforms or stuff. Maybe making more calls as this, being featured on such kind of episodes as the Wiki for Africa. So for me, I think that is some other way of how we can be able to assess some of these impacts. So it's easy to understand the matrices by the dashboard, but as you've said, it's always not like that. Yes, thank you.
I really agree because many a times as organizers we are carried away with just the metrics on the dashboard. We just go, but then there's much more impact that we attain beyond the dashboard. And for me, as a member of the Sustainable Development user group, I get a lot of opportunities that aligns with me because I'm also very passionate about sustainable development goals. And I think for me, that is a great impact because if I want anything um, about SDG campaigns or updates, I know I can get it there. So that's really great. Yeah, we want to dive deep into the last topic, which is what else can Wikimedia communities do to support the SDGs? We know that there are so many campaigns that are happening. We know about the SDG, but then the SDGs are for all of us, are for the planet. We are all supposed to work together to attain the SDGs. Um, I'd like to ask Sandra, do you think that uh, there is a good awareness about the SDG in the Wikimedia movement as a whole? And are there many people at all aware of the importance of this and curiosity to even participate or organize activities that are related to it?
I think nowadays it's increasing. It wasn't really, but it's increasing day by day, the awareness of the SDGs, and it's important on the planet and on the countries, especially when we are now having some shortage in water in our countries and having some other issues relating our countries. So I think it's increasing the point of view or the SDGs which are working on. Also, just I would like to mention, like on the previous point you were mentioning, is the impact of Wikimedia on the communities. Like it is from our community, the Arabic speaking, that we can find that in the media they are using our words or our translations for the words in the media after a while, and that's how we find our impact on Wikimedia. It's really huge on the community or on the others. So just in a small word.
This is really amazing. I remember I was doing a research and then I just saw the news website and I was reading about the article. But as I was reading, I just knew there's a Wikipedia article. I went to Wikipedia and it's like the same thing that was pasted there. So it's really great. People use Wikipedia a lot to bet for their benefit or to share knowledge, which is really great. Um, so how can we increase awareness or motivate others? Because this thing about SDG, we all know it, but when we come to the Wikimedia space, it's like it's a different thing. Like the SDG is at one side, and we are also concentrating on the other side. But then there's a way that Wiki SDGs actually aligns with the work we do as Wikimedians. But how can we increase that awareness? How can we bring that education to the community? Anyone can take this question. It's fairly open. Emmanuelle, would you want to say something? Or John, Romeo, Sandra,
Yeah,
Emmanuelle?
yeah. I think first we need to speak about it. As we said, you all know it, but out of Wikimedia, we need to bring it in Wikimedia, speak about it. Of course, we are making effort or we are making acts in this, but we don't know that we are doing it. So show it to people that what you are doing, we call it SCD, SCD, and also yeah, and also try to put together what we are doing and what the seventh uh, target of SDGs are, and try to be aligned. Try to be aligned in what we are doing and work more where we can be aligned. So show it to people that we are working in this area because of this and because of that. I think if we do it, then people will be conscious of it, and then we will together work on it. I think.
Yeah. So just as Emmanuel said, we should talk more about it. I don't know if Jan wanted to add to it. We should talk more about it. Um,
Yeah,
Shami, would you want to say
I
something?
totally agree with Emmanuel, and I think we can do it also in sort of like an almost structured way, that we try to make sure at every wiki conference where you can submit something, that a bunch of us submit it, so that we create tracks of the topic in each, because just of the showing that the community is really passionate about this will make the organizer of the conference feel, oh, hey, we have 15 good submissions here. We can reject 5, but 10 we have to put together in a track. I think that is something that we can do for all, both like the regional ones or the language specific ones, but also Wikimania. So like, and then also go out there, talk at other like open science conferences and topical conferences, and talk about how the wiki angle is important for their topic, so that they can contribute back, and that we involve experts in talking to the community and also contribute to the topics.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Can I say
Uh,
something, Ruby?
okay, quick one.
Quick
Sure.
one, yeah. So for me, I think I will try to talk about from the lower level, the organizers. So one, I think I would. So there was a part of when you're applying for a grant. I want maybe this to be re-echoed. When you're applying for a grant for a specific program, there's like a space where should be which SDG do you want to fulfill with this specific grant? So that means the idea of SDG should go into programming of Wikimedia programs from the lower level. So it is not limited to, okay, we just have to talk about this outside. Yes, we shall have these conversations, but if this doesn't go deep down into the communities, then it will end up like a very top tier conversation. So this has to, like, I'm very happy with the like organizer app, and they're trying to, there's this amazing conversation that is going on there, but I feel like this should even go, as Yana said, very structured. So even down into grants, down into programming of events, down into communities. And then number two, I think a lot of people are trying to even fit in the SDGs, but unawareingly, unintentionally. So there should be more intentionality of, okay, you're doing this. So I think I can say there should be more clustering. So if you're doing a program, look at through that, even as an individual or a community, what kind of SDGs are you trying to fill up? So intentionality and structure aspect, as Jan mentioned, I believe it can add up to the awareness that already is going on within the foundation. Thank you.
I totally agree with your point, and I love the fact that we need to put that like button there when you're applying for grant, because that also helps us to measure like how our campaigns are addressing the SDGs. And I remember when I was a fellow in 2022 at the Wikimedia Foundation for the Wiki for Human Rights campaign, one of the things that I found myself doing is a lot of people thought that this environmental topics and sustainability topics are not something that they can do because they are not environmental experts. I was like, no, you don't need to be an environmental expert. The environmental impact is affecting all of us, whether we are experts or not. And so this is something that is the work of all of us to address. So I found myself like keep continually motivating organizers, explaining to them before they could actually have the confidence to join the campaign. So I think the awareness creation, also trying to be intentional about how we address these issues in the movement is very, very important. And I love what
I
you've done. Um,
I
Emmanuelle,
would like I would like to add just
yeah,
one point.
sure, go ahead.
Please. Yeah, thank you. I would like to ask that to say also, like I agree with other speakers, and also that you are working on Wikimedia on reducing the inequality, which is one of the SDGs. It is SDG 10, and but we don't know that it's part of the SDG. So the raising awareness that when we just mentioned that now on this work we are working on one of the SDGs, then we will work on other later and so on. So unintentionally we are working on SDGs, but just we need to focus on the point and mentioning that SDGs are from the core of our work in Wikimedia.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Interesting. So, a quick one. Emmanuelle, we heard that the Wikimedia Cote d'Ivoire is doing a special effort to record carbon impact of the user group activities. Can you tell us a little bit about more? Because I'm really curious and I can't wait to start measuring the carbon impact that my organization is contributing. I want to learn that from you.
Yeah, of course. It was we made some initiative, but it was an initiative thing. I want to clarify it, and also it was an initiative of a group, so a club of Dalwa, which is a town of our country. This club tried to assess the impact of carbon reduction during the online training shop with 60 participants. And by comparing this with a workshop that will take place in personal, they noticed that the implication or the impact of carbon is less than when we will have an in personal meeting. So as I said, it was an experimental stage. We didn't develop it totally in our country, so we are working on it to work from this to see how we can go deeper and then have master this thing and then bring back information about it.
Okay, we can't wait. In fact, when that is done, I want to be the first person to learn about it. So please
Of
keep it
course,
posted.
of
And it
course.
also reminds me of I was taking this green digital skills course, and then we could actually measure the carbon emission or something digital footprint of your website. So whether your website is emitted a lot or not, you can be able to tell. So there are a lot of tools that we can explore. But then I'm very much interested in what Wikimedia Cote d'Ivoire's own is going to look like so that we can replicate that.
Okay, we will do that soon.
Okay. So talking about the Wikimedia Foundation, does the Wikimedia Foundation offer suitable support for Wikimedia communities to encourage them in leading projects that are related to SDG? Romeo?
Me? You call me? Sorry, I think I lost the connection.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, I think the Wikimedia Foundation, yes, does. There is one is from the grants that they're offering already to communities. So if you have ideas around implementing projects that are really going to satisfy specific SDGs, and they are also aligned to the Wikimedia Foundation's plan, so they really do support that. So yes, and then the other also there's specific programs within the Wikimedia Foundation that have been very, very super important into that. I don't stop by mentioning also the organizer lab that has been able to train specific organizers, but also people who are interested in organizing specific programs to be able to reach goals within their communities, to see that they satisfy all the sustainable knowledge aspects, but also be able to understand what SDGs are, but also to see that that includes into their programming. We also see, I think the support is really all around, very inter-community, but also between community and the foundation, but also within just participants within the foundation. So yes, I can say the support is there, but yeah, that's what I can say.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, John, would you want to add to it? Would you want to add to any little thing to what Romeo just said regarding the question? Oh, it's
I'll hold it for now.
okay. Okay, great, great. So, with our audience out there, we'd like to hear from you. What are your recommendations for Wikimedia Foundation to encourage the Wikimedia communities to lead projects that helps us to achieve the sustainable development? Please drop your comments in the chat box and let's engage. And again, what are your expected type of support which you need more from the foundation regarding to this? Because I mean, support comes in different ways. What are the ones that you expect and that will help you to achieve this goal? Please drop that in the chat and let's engage. I also was a beneficiary of the Organizers Lab this year, and I must say that it's really like was a really great course. And I'll encourage everyone, if you have the opportunity and you love SDGs, please take that course. It's really, really insightful. Um, uh, we've
I could
almost
come in,
done.
perhaps,
Okay, sure.
because in the recommendations in our strategy, we have one of them that is the topics for impact, and there we also talk about how can we identify the topics for impact. And my argument is that, well, it would be redundant for us to try to identify that when the United Nations already did that hard work for us. Just let's agree upon that the SDGs are the topics for impact, and first save us some work there, but then also know, okay, this is the focus that we need to focus on for focusing on topics that will have impact on the world. And then I think also we mentioned already, Romeo had this great idea that we should tag what SDG something is relevant to. And I think also we can sort of like extrapolate that idea to also tag what is this initiative, how is it connected to our movement strategy, which initiative or recommendation is this fulfilling, so that we know that we're doing the right work. And combining those two together, then we will be really focused, laser focused on doing the right stuff.
I love that you mentioned that the SDG, the United Nations, has already outlined these goals for us. And all it takes for us to do is identify which of the goals and address it. Then doing the whole work all over again. So it's really a very important, and sometimes we lose, I mean, we're overwhelmed, we are thinking like very wide and big and huge about this whole thing. But then this statement really like is really striking, and it tells us that there's already something for us all to do regarding the SDG. Um, so talking about recommendations, okay, what are some of the recommendations that you would um, give for the foundation to encourage community to lead these kind of projects? What would be your recommendation? Or what are some of the expected type of support that you think will be relevant for the communities? This goes to everyone. Anyone can go. Sandra?
Yeah.
Yes, good.
It's me. Again, I would like to mention the equality, which is one of the SDGs, and it is one of the recommendations of Wikimedia movements. So, which is aligned on the same time the Wikimedia recommendations. It's having to work on equality in decision making, and also the SDGs. It's looking forward to have reducing the inequality in the on the society. So this is one of the recommendations which is aligned directly with one of the SDGs.
Okay, that's also cool. Any other recommendations that can
I think I just mentioned mine, and it looked like Romeo agreed at least.
Okay, so I think that we are drawing closer and closer to the end of this particular section. We've learned a lot. I don't know if you have any last words, close remarks, anything that we haven't asked that you think you'd want to say. And you have the opportunity to do that in less than a minute, and then we move to the next segment.
As a part of this meta group, organizing group, I always just encourage everybody to keep doing the good stuff that you're doing, but also tell everybody else what you're doing, because there's so many things happening that not everyone are aware of, because they're all over the place. So please use our group as a hub to get things out to others.
I love that. Thank you so much that we can use your platform to share the work that we're doing, which is very relevant. I know Romeo is itching to say something. Would you go ahead?
No, just to add, I don't want that point to go. Probably a good point also why the Wiki for Human Rights has a podcast. So to make sure that we tell the stories from all these different communities. So please, we would really, really love to see that we use all these spaces we have to really talk about what we're doing. So yeah, I really love that point. So thank you.
Thank
So
you.
listen,
I love the
listen.
podcast. I was listening to the podcast like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, wow, that's really so cool and amazing. And as especially as new people who enter the Wikimedia space, some of these stories helps us to appreciate the work that we do in the space. Because when I joined the Wikimedia movement, I realized that I understood what the work we are doing by listening to people's story. And that's how I really appreciated the impact of the little things that we do on the wikis. Emmanuelle and Sandra, would you want to say one last thing?
Nothing so special, just to say thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you to Wiki in Africa. Thank you to all the guests. And thank you for all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making time and being here, being our guest. Sandra, please go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to mention that if we have to always keep raising the awareness between our group, between us, our society, and also on social media and around us, because every one of us has reached for 10 people, even if it's 10 people of his friends, it will reach a huge number. This is the first thing. And also, I would like to thank you very much for having me in this session, and thank you for the for the audience, and thank you for the speakers for their time. Thank you for Wiki in Africa and all the organizers in the backstage, and for you, Ruby, for today's session.
Thank you so much. So before you go, I have two questions in the chat that any of you can address. And as you can see on the screen, this one of our guests, our audience is asking, how do one get access to the training specific for community organizers to work with projects that impact the SDGs? Where are we finding those information, training specific? Who can help us
Yeah,
address
I don't
this?
find the link on top of my head, but I know that there has been two. I think there's two different classes of organizing. I think it was to get the new campaign event tool to get people into that, and they were using the sustainability as the aspect of doing that work, but I couldn't find it right now. I think it was yes, here comes someone. Sandra has it in our private chat. Perhaps someone can put that up. The Organizer Lab, that was the name by the Wikimedia Foundation. And I don't know if there's going to be a second or third run of that. Maybe not. Someone else knows.
Not very sure, but probably they will. But my only advice is that there's a lot of actually amazing lessons if you go to Wikilearn. So Wikilearn has some already existing courses that are archived. So even though you're not participating like in the course with already active members, but there already a lot of information and document videos and content that will teach you about partnership as an organizer. There's also there about the Organizer Lab. There's a lot of these courses that are there available. So you can also go and check already archived lessons, but also if you, I think from all the groups, so join like the Telegram group for the sustainable user group. You can join the Wiki for Human Rights. There's all these available Telegram groups on the meta pages. You can also get updates on like whether the Organizer Lab is coming back again, which is an awesome session, or any other programs as well. Those are all platforms that you can get to learn. But also the other one, the best way to learn as an organizer is through your colleagues. Talk to people. It's another awesome way. Just talk to people. Talk to fellow organizers.
Just talk to people, like Romeo said. Keep asking your questions. Don't feel like you're bothering them, because Wikimedians, we are so busy. You have to bother us. Bother us till you get your answers. So I love that. This has really been a very interesting conversation talking about the sustainable development goals in the Wikimedia movement. We've learned so much. I just want to highlight a few things. Oh, there's one more community question. There's no mention of SDG in the movement recommendation or the movement charter. How do we get them integrated into the movement strategy process? This is really a very important topic. Like, I don't know if anyone wants to address this before we move on to the next segment. This is really important. There's no mention of this in the movement charter. Okay, is it that we are not in alignment? What could that be? What does that mean? How do we address that?
As I mentioned, like in the previous talk, that it's not directly mentioned, but it's aligned with Wikimedia recommendation. So we can say that it's one of the recommendation, but it's also one of the SDGs. So we could be the people who highlight these SDGs. It's not always on the inverse, like the foundation which work for us. We could say that we are working on one of the SDGs. Nowadays, we are working on SDG 1. Tomorrow, we are working on SDG 9, and so on. So even so, it's not like directly mentioned, like it's from our part to mention it, and we say that we are working on this point.
Oh, that's really brilliant answer. I really like that. And to think of it, I really agree, because a lot of the things that we do are in alignment, but we just haven't directly mentioned it in that way. So thank you so much, Sandra, for giving us that answer. And that brings us to the end of the first segment. We've learned so many things, and some of the things that we've learned from this show has to do with how the SDG came about, and we learned from Jean that it was a build-up of the Millennium Development Goals, and we also learn about different activities that communities are doing. We learn about the Wiki for Human Rights podcast. So if you're organizing Wiki for Human Rights activity in your country, please don't forget to join the podcast and share your story, because we also mentioned that storytelling is really important. We need to talk about our story. There was a time when I joined the Wikimedia movement, we don't really talk about our story. Everybody is like, what about? I see that a number of diff posts that comes out in a day, it's kind of different because those times it would come with like in bits. But these days, everyone have understood the value of storytelling. And sometimes when you're sharing your opportunity or you're going for an opportunity somewhere, they're asking for where's your publications, where are the links, where, and they really speak up for you in a day that you really need more. So storytelling is really important. And I even read in the chat from one of our guest about social media. And I'll tell you how I got into the movement. It's through social media. Social media actually invited me into the Wikimedia space. So sharing our stories on social media is also very important. And we also saw how communities are contributing to languages. It's hard to sometimes translate some words from English into your local dialect because they don't exist. But how can we address this? It's up to you as Wikimedians. Let's engage our communities. Let's engage in terms of partnership, language communities to address all of these. So whilst you wait in the background, you can hang in. We are not yet done with the session. There's going to be another interesting segment, so you don't want to leave now because it's really going to be interesting. We have a surprise aspect section of this news segment. And I have the pleasure to launch this entirely new segment in WikiAfrica Hour. It's called the InFocus segment, and we can zoom into more detail about one person on an event or a project that has impacted the Wikimedia movement. So there's always going to be that segment that zooms into that aspect. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to be joined in by
As I said, for our audience, please do not go away. We are happily announce a new segment today for the next WikiAfrica Hour episode. This new segment, as Ruby said, will call In Focus segment, in which we can zoom into event or project or maybe a person, as we will do in this episode. A project or event or person that has impacted the Wikimedia movement in Africa. And we are today, we will, in the focus segment, we are incorporating the Wiki Loves Women's Inspiring Open project by focusing on an open woman who I mentioned previously. And the open woman who host this episode with us, Ruby. Ruby, we want to thank you for accepting the invite to be here today and hosting the episode, and then become our guest for Inspiring Open with the first one in focus segment in WikiAfrica Hour. As a gender advocate for gender equity and climate action, and also co-founder of Africa Wiki Women, with many edits on Wikipedia and other projects, we are happily hosting you today. I want to interview you with some questions that may be interesting for the audience, and to make you share some of your experience. So firstly, we want you to talk more about yourself and where you are and how you start your journey in Wikimedia movement.
Thank you so much, Nani and Donia. Sorry, I always mix the names. Thank you so much, Donia, and the In Africa team for having me. I'm truly honored to talk about my personal story and journey. I think my journey started in 2019 when I saw a social media post. So when I saw one of our audience talking about social media, I really know how powerful that is, because I used to see a post about Wikipedia. One day I saw a post about Wikipedia and girls, and I was like, wow, I want to be part of this. And I joined the first editathon, and when I went home, I realized that no, I didn't get everything because it was the source editing that was being used to teach us. I almost gave up, and then I said, let me try it again on the second editathon, and then that really opened a new journey for me. And it has been like a journey of persistent curiosity and learn, because the way that the Wikimedia movement is, usually it's being run by volunteers. Volunteers have a lot of work to do, and so sometimes it's hard to, get their time after an event. But then one of the things that gave me opportunity to really strengthen my feet in the Wikimedia space is trying to be an organizer, joining a user group, and all of that, being engaged in activities that the user group does actually fortified me, and it opened me up to a whole new world that I never knew. I was like, how is it that I never knew about Wikipedia? I never knew that there's so many people writing on Wikipedia. I always thought it was written by professors, like people who are notable, like great people, but I didn't know myself I could actually contribute to such a great platform. And for me, this journey has really been interesting and great. And yeah,
Yeah, you said you've joined Wikipedia since I think 2019, right?
yes.
Yeah, because this is the same year for me as well, so it's a special year for me. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So Ruby, the name Open, we use the name Open mostly most of the time in the movement. What does the name Open mean to you as a newbie, or then after your contributions increase in the movement?
Yeah. Again, the word open, I didn't even know it. I didn't understand what it is till I joined the Wikimedia space. And for me, it opened a new whole world to me because I realized the value and the impact of knowledge that is being shared freely. Because a lot of the time, as a researcher myself, I know how hard sometimes it can be to find certain information, certain pictures to use for your presentation. And for most of the time, when you're doing a presentation or research about a particular thing and you're not able to go there to take a pictures yourself, you have to rely on free pictures that other people can give to you. And most of the time, when you look at these platforms that have like free pictures, they are mostly like foreign pictures. You don't get even local pictures. And so that really makes me appreciate the work that Wiki in Africa does with Wiki Labs Africa with the photography, because it gives us local relevant pictures that aligns with your wish. You don't have to travel, and that saves you a whole lot of work. It saves you a whole lot of budget trying to roam about to find these pictures. So the word open means a lot to me, and since the time I got to understand it, I really saw the value in it. It helps us to share knowledge, learn about each other in the language that we understand. I can read, I can learn about China, things that are happening in China on Wikipedia through translations or articles that are being translated. And sometimes you can take it for granted because you think um, articles are, you can easily translate articles on the web. Usually you get two or three languages that are being translated, either French to English or English to French. You don't get that diversity. You don't find 300 languages that are translating websites. Okay, so Wikipedia provides that platform for us, and for me, this is really like a big deal for me coming into the open space to learn about all these impact and value that Wikimedia movement provides to our world.
Yeah, okay. This is very inspiring, and you know, we as females, we may face more challenges, um, not in the movement specifically, but as a whole. So I want you to share any personal experience where you felt your gender was a disadvantage, or impacted on your choices. Can you remember any personal experience that can you share with us?
Yeah, being a female itself come with not just social barriers, but even natural barriers and challenges. And I always tell my mom, you never told me what it means to start having children, because that is really like a whole layer of work that adds up to you. Okay. And when you're young and you have brothers and you are the woman and you want to go for a program on a Saturday, you're being asked to stay back home because you need to do the cooking, you need to do the washing. My mom will say we have to prepare soup for the week. We have to clean. We have to do this. But our brothers will go to wherever they want to go. Okay, and so we see all of these things, if we are looking at the tech space, we do a lot of events on Saturdays. We're not seeing women there. These are some of the barriers that women naturally face because they naturally are seen as people who take care of the home, people who are supposed to make sure that the home is comfortable, and more importantly, when you are married or when you start having children. And so for me personally, I remember some time ago I used to do a monitoring and evaluation job where we used to travel a lot across the country. When I started having children, I was like, I need to reduce the number of times I used to travel, and so that actually like made me gravitate towards different career that allows me flexibility and a little bit more time to spend with my family because it's just how it is. It's like a cultural thing. So some of these things are things that women go through a lot. Okay, and so it's something that we need to be sensitive, and especially when we are engaging women in the movement, we want to increase women participation. A lot of support, a lot of motivation is needed, like childcare, because that can actually motivate you. And if you look at whenever we do campaigns, we try to assess the age demographics of women who are attending trainings compared to men demographics. You see that the men are lean towards like the middle age group, like from 25, 30, thereabout. There's so many men there. And when you look at the women, they are younger folks because when they get to that middle age, they are either taking up extra responsibility of marriage or childbirth, which can actually hinder their participation in the movement. So a lot of these things you notice that as women grow, they are not likely to be volunteering anymore because that becomes like a whole layer added to
Yes,
their existing layer.
subject.
But how do we create systems that allows their participation, that supports their participation, that motivates their participation? Because again, talking about the movement is more of a volunteer community where we stick awards to top three, top four, and in a male dominated community where we have so about 90% of male who are always taking the top three awards, how many women can actually get to even the top 10 to even get an award? And for me, if I'm a volunteer and I see men sweeping awards all the time, I would actually be demotivated. So we need to think around how we even motivate volunteers in the movement with awards. We need to rethink it because that model is likely not to be sustainable, it's likely not to be inclusive enough. And for us as Africa Wiki Women, what we're trying to do is to ensure that even with a little contribution that women contribute in the movement, they are actually supported. If we have awards, we need to distribute it in a way that allows women to continually contribute to it, to be motivated, to feel like, oh, I can actually also be part of or be celebrated as a winner or a contributor to this campaign. So, yeah, I can go on and on and on, but let me just let you handle the questions.
Thank you so much, Ruby. I know you prefer to describe yourself as an advocate for gender equity, and I know you contribute more on this, and I really appreciate your efforts in this. But can you share more about your perspectives about initiatives that you think essential for gender equity? Maybe initiatives from the movement, or maybe outside the movement as well.
Yeah, there are so many initiatives that are working hard to address the gender gap. We have the She Said campaign. It's one of the campaigns that Africa Women, Wiki Women joined last year. It was really encouraging to see a lot of women actually join the campaign to contribute when we actually didn't even have any resource to support them. But the participation, we had trainings for them. And Wiki Women in Red, we see all of these campaigns happening here and there. I think they are really like wonderful campaigns that are ensuring equity and inclusion. But for me, I also want to see a point where, because the men are highly dominated in the movement, whether you like it or not, we don't know how. That is just how it is in the tech space or anything that has to do with computer. So our ability to also engage them to understand this concept of equality, gender equality, equity is very important because it can also increase participation of women at every level of the campaign, or let's say, they can foster participation as a man. They can also try to align their campaign to be more inclusive, because that's very important. Because if we have a lot of these men leading the space, do they really understand what it means to have gender equality? Do they understand, or it's just about the metrics, or it's just about the articles that we need to write? Because as campaign organizers, we are torn between meeting our metrics. We want to meet the 100 articles that we said we were going to write, and so whoever is skilled to give us the 100 articles, what we care about. But have we thought about the people that don't write that much articles, but are contributing very little, yet they are very important in our movement? And I'm talking about the women, the underrepresented communities, the marginalized groups, okay? To increase the participation of those groups, to pay attention to align campaigns that are more inclusive. For instance, I remember one time we were having a campaign for women. We were expecting a lot of women to join the campaign. And the funny thing was that all when we started analyzing the results, all the top three were men. And then we saw that no, there's an error. We can't publish something like that. We need to find that one woman who did well. And when we went into the details of the contribution, that one woman who actually top was down there. Okay, contributed very little, but yet significant. We're like, no, as long as she is the top woman, we're going to add her to the list to at least balance the whole situation. So there's a lot that we need to do, and even if we are writing about topics that are not about women, there's a way that these topics also cut across gender. Okay, we can look at gender in education. We can look at gender in different kinds of topics that are interesting to organizers to address gender gaps. Yeah. So a lot of education is needed in that aspect for organizers to align to also push this gender topics on Wikipedia.
Very inspiring, Ruby. While you're talking, I feel that you're the voice of females, you know? So thank you so much for your inspiring thoughts and your inspiring work and, and initiatives you try to do in the movement and also outside. On a final note, because I think we are go to the final of the episode. On a final note, if you have any topic that we haven't raised till now and you want to raise with the audience, we are happy to hear you. Just a final note if you want.
Yeah, so my final note is that I want to encourage every woman out there. I know it's not easy. It takes a woman to work more than 4 times as harder, like to reach to the point where a man has reached. Okay, it's not easy. Even in the movement, it takes us so much effort to get to the point where a man has reached. And so it's not an easy journey, but then policies, governances, a whole lot of things we can work together to make our voices heard, to address these gaps, to ensure that more inclusion, more participation of women in the movement. And so, what I'll say is that policies are very important. Whenever there's time for us to add our voice to any policy, like the movement charter, anything that would affect us, let us come out in our numbers to address it. And one of the things that we want to do as African Wiki women is to ensure that we amplify these voices, because sometimes you are intimidated by the number of males who are speaking so well, saying intelligent things. Like, you feel like, what are you going to say that makes sense? It's like you are just like nobody's saying anything that aligns to you, and you might almost feel like what you are going to say is stupid. We want to create that safe space for you to amplify your voices and address the very thing that matters to you. So African Working Women is here to stay and to also improve leadership of women, because we have a lot of men who are leaders. We want to make sure that a lot of women are leaders in the movement. And that's why when I look at Wiki Africa, I see a lot of women. I'm proud of that. I love that more opportunities are being given to women to lead, of course. And this is really like one of the ways that we are addressing gender gaps, building capacity, because as you do this, you are learning new things, you are learning new skills, you are able to do more in the movement, contribute to it. And I think Wiki Africa is doing an amazing job, and I love the new vibe that it always tries to bring. I mean, this is really like, and if you look at all the organizing, like this is women doing all of this excellent work. It tells us that women are capable just like men. And so please, those out there, leaders out there, don't think that women are not capable. They are equally capable if they are given the opportunity. And these are my words. They are equally capable if they are given the opportunity. So let's give more opportunities to women to thrive in this space. Thank you so much, Donia and the team and Weekend Africa Hour for having
Thank
me.
you
I
so much,
truly
Ruby.
appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank
much. I think after your talk, all women hearing us will go to finish all things that she delay and start now to have her impact, to have her achievements she want to do. So thank you so much for your inspiring words
thank
and
you.
for hosting this episode as well. Um, we are now coming to the end of the episode. Please don't miss the next Wiki Africa Hour in July, next month. And follow up on the Facebook page and also subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your time and stay tuned for the next episode.
Wiki Africa
Bye-bye.
Hour
See
is a
you.
production of Wiki in Africa that supports the development of the Wikimedia movement across Africa. Tell us on social media which topics you want to discuss and join us next month, same time, same channel. Hit the subscribe bell to stay open and up to date and follow Wiki Africa on social media.